Good evening and welcome to tonight's edition of The Probe. Less than 3 months to election 2024 and there are key matters arising between the Electoral Commission and the largest opposition NDC, with the party lacing its boots and whipping members in line to stage protests at all the Electoral Commission's offices across the country come Tuesday to demand the EC conducts a forensic audit of the voters' register. While the EC, we know, has admitted to some anomaly only in Pustiga and has demanded evidence of same at other centers to justify the audit, and we are told that is yet to happen. We'll get into all that is going to happen tonight here on The Pro, plus how we are building trust for the elections as it's coming up in December. So let's go through some of the issues that have come up as we build up to the September 17, 2024 protest, nationwide protest to be held by the NDC. Let's go through the issues that have come up so far. And we start off with the NDC's demands. They are asking that we provide timelines for corrections of the register. Also, they are asking for a conduct of a forensic audit of this particular voters register that will be used in the December polls, and then a re-exhibition of the voter register. These are all the key demands that the NDC is making, and they have concerns with the 2024 voters register, and they say the continuous mistakes in there is making it impossible for them to trust the process. Also, they've raised issues about illegal voter transfers. That is the issue that is going on between them and the NDC and the Electoral Commission, I should say. And the EC system, they say, is not robust enough for them. They're asking for certain things to be done, including that particular audit. And then they are concerned about the waning public confidence in the voters register. And you've heard the NDC flag bearer, for instance, raise issues also about trust, lack of trust in the process. Well, the NDC's reasons for a forensic audit are these. They say that 243,540 previous transfers illegally added to the 2024 register, including repeated names, they say. And then also 15,000 plus unidentifiable voter transfer parts, potential issues with fake registrations. These are some of the concerns they've raised. Also, 3,957 voters in the 2023 register deleted from the 2024 provisional register due to transfers is what they say. Also, 2,094 voters transferred to different polling stations but not listed in the absent voter list as required by law. That's one of the things, some of the concerns. And then the list of EC's mistakes, they say inadequate voter registration figures, faulty voter registration graphics, and errors in transferred voters. Some of the key issues that they've raised as well. And then let's go into the Electoral Commission's response to the NDC so far. There have been a number of responses that the EC has given so far to all the concerns that have been raised in the public domain. And they say all identified discrepancies are being resolved. And they've said that over the period. Also, the EC has involved key officers at all levels to ensure all registered voters are accurately listed. They also say repeated requests to the NDC for copies of discrepancies have been unresponsive. And we've heard the Director of Electoral Services on PM Express right here on the Joy News channel mention that they've reached out to the NDC to actually give further and better particulars in terms of the concerns that they've raised so that the EC can go ahead to work on it, but it appears that is yet to happen. And the EC believes a forensic audit is premature and the voters' exhibition exercise already serves as an audit for the process. And then also the EC urges the NDC to trust their process in correcting all these discrepancies, but the NDC will have none of that, and that there is no basis for demonstrations. That demonstration is going to happen on Tuesday. The EC believes that the best way to ascertain the credibility and integrity of the 2024 voters register is the discussion table, nowhere else, and not on the streets. Taking to the streets will not ensure a credible register. It will only cause tension and suspicions, which are unwarranted. And that's what the EC has constantly said, reaching out to the NDC to come to the table so that the talk will be done at the table and not the streets. What is the NDC's response so far? And it's been like they've been unresponsive so far. Over the period, we've heard the Asantehene Otumfuo say to the second, mention that it is time for collaboration to be able to ensure trust in this particular system as we head to the polls. We'll be hearing also from Mohammed Ibn Chambers just at the Diplomatic Honors Awards yesterday, mentioning that the EC also has to trust or start building processes to be able to trust, to repose trust in this particular system, I should say. That and more we are looking at tonight here on The Probe. This evening, we'll try to make time for your questions, a lot of your questions, because we are hoping to build trust in the process at the end of it all as we head into the December polls, just less than 3 months into the December polls. My guest tonight is the Deputy Chair in charge of Corporate Services for the Electoral Commission, Dr. Bossman Asare. My guest, we are live here on the Joy News channel, Joy 99.7 FM. We are on myjoyonline.com and all our social media platforms. Of course, your questions, as always, are welcome. I am Emefa Apau, and you're welcome to The Probe. And Dr. Bossman Asare is ready with us here in the studios. When we return from the break, we'll get talking. Doc, you're welcome.
Thank you.
It is not too late to work to win the trust and confidence of all parties and stakeholders in the electoral process. Specifically, ensuring the publication of polling station results on the website of the Electoral Commission is one measure that will greatly advance and enhance the credibility and transparency of the process. And this will sound like music to some of our partners here who have made this recommendation time and again.
You're welcome back. This is The Probe here on the Joy News channel. My guest is the Deputy Chair of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Bossman Asare. You just heard Dr. Mohammed Ibn Chambers there speaking last night at the Diplomatic Honors Awards, mentioning that the EC ought to establish some form of processes to restore trust in the process, saying that it is not too late for the EC to do so. And we're here with Dr. Asare. Doc, thank you so much for your time. It's been a busy time for you as we build up. It's just less than 3 months to go. And I'm sure you would want to give a brief response to that. There are concerns about whether there are plans for the publishing of the polling station results on your website as part of building transparency in the process. I'm sure you would want to respond quickly to Dr. Bossman, to Mohammed Ibn Chambers.
This is something the Commission has discussed, and it's something we are going to do in 2024. To make sure that the polling station results are published on our website way before people who want to go to court or they want to test the law and be sure that indeed, if they want to assess what actually happened at the polling station. It's something the Commission has discussed it, and we are going to be doing it. As
part of the discussions, though, would it be during the election, or is it that it will be done right after the entire result has been mentioned or has been announced before you publish it? Since
it's the first time the Commission is doing it, we will ensure that once we have the full results of all polling stations, then we go ahead and do it.
Okay. Well, so that's the response to Dr. Mohammed Ibn Chambers, some restoration of trust and confidence in there. But let's talk about the processes as we build up to 17 September. We know that there's been a back and forth between the EC and the NDC. These are issues we'll go into. But since we just closed the week and starting a new week, nominations were filed by a number of candidates. At the last count, how many nominations did you receive? From here, we know it's about 23, but I don't know from the EC's point of view.
Yeah, from the EC's point, the last time I wasn't part of the core team we have, but the last time I was there, we were doing almost about 23. And I remember some people came very late.
Yeah.
So the team is still working on it, and I'm pretty sure that by this week, hopefully tomorrow or by Tuesday, latest by the end of this week, the Commission should be able to put out the names of those who have successfully gone through the process and those who will not be able to go through. So we have a team working on it. As we pointed out, we have a technical team and an IT team. Their job is to scrutinize the documents they've brought. Others are also supposed to check the age requirement and all other requirements that are necessary for one to become a candidate for president. So all these processes are ongoing, and I'm sure by the end of this week, we should be able to come up with a conclusion.
From what you've seen so far, does it look like all 23 will go through? Are we going to have such a long ballot paper?
It's not. The team has not finished working. And you know, one of the things the commission announced, and we made it very clear, was that once somebody had some discrepancies, we will give the person the opportunity to correct.
Okay.
So a number of them have been written to make amends to certain things they didn't do right. So once we get all this information, our team will be able to go through and determine those who have succeeded and those who have not.
Okay. Well, but what next then will be the process after we know who has gone through and who has not gone through? What then happens after that?
Once we know those who have gone through, what we do is that we'll schedule a time for balloting.
Okay.
Balloting for positions, so that it will help us to know who is going to be number 1 on the ballot, number 2, number 3, in that order. So assuming we have about 12 or 15 who have gone through, we have to rank. And we normally do, by convention, we do the political parties first.
Okay.
So if the political parties are 7, 1 to 7 will be for the political parties. Then the remaining ones will be for the independent candidates. And what we do at the presidential will be replicated at the parliamentary level. So for example, if one of the main parties, MPP or NDC, is number 1, automatically in all the parliamentary elections, that party is going to be number 1.
Okay.
Unless, let's say, a smaller party, let's say one of the minor parties becomes number 1, and that party is not contesting the parliamentary election in a particular constituency, in that case, the party that becomes number 2, if it's MPP or NDC, that party will automatically become number 1 at the parliamentary, for the parliamentary election in that particular constituency.
Okay, but we've heard the independent candidates. Some of them raise concerns about why you give priority to the political parties before you come to them. It's as if you give the best part of everything to the political parties. Then what is left is what you give to them in terms of this positioning amongst others. Is there a particular reason why you want to finish with the political parties before you engage or do what it is with the independent candidates?
I don't think we are giving the political parties any special preference. The Commission strongly believes that for good orderly purposes, the parties, we meet them severally, we discuss all the issues, and to ensure that things are done orderly. These are political parties that are registered. Why don't we finish with them? Once we finish with them, we engage the independents. And that doesn't suggest that we are mistreating or we are not paying equal attention to the independent candidates. The main thing is that once you qualify as an independent candidate, automatically you'll be on the ballot. And even beyond that, some independent candidates do go through the forms. They do it very well, and parties don't do. And we don't say because you are independent, we are going to disqualify you. We use the same standard.
Okay, but at the last count, though, we know that you had about over 20 political parties registered in your books. How many of them would you say are still in good standing? We've seen some of them file nominations. Some parties, most of us have not even heard about. How many of them do you have in your books that are in good standing? We have criteria for them, but really, as it stands now, how many of them are in good standing?
Currently, we have 12 parties that are registered.
Okay.
We have 12 political parties that are registered. And of the 12 political parties, all of them are in good standing.
Okay.
Although the last time we did the exercise, we told 9 of them. That time we had 11 political parties. We told 9 of them that they are supposed to be on probation. And a number of them have taken steps to address the concerns we had with them. And recently we had a new political party, PAG, Progressive Alliance for Ghana, who joined the FRAIL. So we have 12, and all the 12 are in good standing as we speak now. Okay.
Well, now let's get into engagement. We've heard a number of key persons in society talk about how the EC is not too late for you to build trust in the process as we build up to election 2024. But as it stands now, there is a back and forth between the Electoral Commission and the NDC, and some have described it as very concerning and worrying, knowing the time that we are in and how much time we have to go for the polls. Since you reached out publicly to the NDC to come back to the table, so you talk about the concerns they have and their demands for a forensic audit, have you had any response so far from the party?
So for official, we've not had any response. And
but did you write officially?
No, we haven't written officially.
Okay.
We believe that by having a press conference and making it public to the good people of this country, and we talk about Ghanaians, we are talking about NDC, MPP, all other political parties, and those who don't even support political parties. So we made it very clear that in our thinking, we believe that if we have the NDC on the table, it will go a long way to promote the country's democracy.
Well, one would have thought that if it is that important to the EC, that the NDC comes to the table for discussions on the concerns they've raised, you would have at least reached out officially to the party. Well,
recently we've had several engagements with them, and I think the last one we had with them was on exactly about 10 days ago, Friday. The Friday before the last Friday, we had a meeting with them. In that meeting, we had some certain core, we reached certain core agreements, and one of them was that NDC was going to provide us evidence of the discrepancies they had identified in that register. And in that same meeting, Electoral Commission also told them that once you bring us that particular information, within a week, we are going to have another meeting with you. And they also gave us their pen drive, and they also requested that once that process was consummated, Electoral Commission should also give them an updated version of the register. And since then, we have been following up with their elections department, those who work in their elections department, but they've not been able to bring us the information they indicated or the discrepancies they indicated they had identified.
Okay, but you've talked about the fact that they gave you a pen drive, at least, of the issues that they have, but there was a promise
No, they didn't give a pen drive of the issues they have.
Okay.
They gave us a pen drive to copy the updated register for them. So for the issues they have, those ones, they are still outstanding.
They are still outstanding.
They are yet to give to us, although in the meeting, they gave us the assurance that within the shortest possible time, preferably in less than 3 days, we are going to get that document. And we also assured them in that meeting that once you provided us that information, within a week, we'll be calling you back for another meeting.
Okay, that's interesting, because what we are hearing, at least from the NDC, is that when they gave you that updated version of the register that they have, you promised to give them the new version in terms of the corrected versions of the process or the register that you have, and then you would return it to them.
That's not the fact.
Okay.
What happened was that when they came, they didn't give us the evidence of the challenges they had with the register. They only did the presentation, saying that they've noticed that about 243,000 people have been added onto the transfers list. Apart from that, they also mentioned a certain figure. 3,954 people are missing from the voters register. And they also asked for a forensic audit. And they also requested for a re-exhibition of the voters register. And in that meeting, we told them, since you are saying you have identified certain problems, bring it to us. And they flatly accepted it. And they assured us that we will give you that particular evidence. And they also made a request that after that, we want you to give us the updated register. And we told them that when you give us your evidence, within a week, the commission will call you back, because we know as soon as you give it to us, we'll get to work on those issues you have identified. And once we finish with that, we'll give you a copy of the register. In other words, the updated version. And since then, our deputy chairman for operations has been following up. I personally, I have also been following up. They haven't given us the evidence they claim they have. Up until now.
Interesting. But the tone also of the press conference that was held by the EC has been called into question. The issue about when they were also in power, they had names of trees and animals on the register has also been called out, criticized, that tone is not reconciliatory.
No, let's make certain things clear, and let's also assure the good people of this country that the Electoral Commission is committed to ensuring a very peaceful process. When you listen to the press conference very well, the Commission was making the point that there have been instances when, after registration, you know, the nature of our registration is such that you go to the field, you register people offline. Then when you come back, you must now go through a cleaning process, which is you do the exhibition to clean it. And there have been instances where MFI, you will register as a voter, we will go into the register and your picture is not there. It may even swap with another particular person. So in the press conference, we're trying to make the point that the essence of the exhibition is to correct all these anomalies. And that is not unusual for someone to register, the picture of that person has been taken. But that person will go to the exhibition center, or we will try to check. By the time you realize the person's picture is not there, the person may be a male, but it will be indicated as a female. So the commission was trying to make the point that this is a regular feature of our democracy. And beyond that, when you look at the CI 91, as amended by CI 126, Regulation 23, it makes provision for the exhibition of the voters' register. Yeah. The law anticipates that once you gather data from the field, there will be a lot of problems. You are not going to have everything excellent. Because when you register people, certain places, we don't do online registration. So you need to upload onto another system. The law anticipates that all these problems are bound to happen. So what we do is that we exhibit the voters' register. So when you read Regulation 23 of CI 91, it talks about what the exhibition does. Yeah. People whose names are omitted, whose pictures are damaged, people who must be included, people who have been objected to. All these things are clearly stated in the law. So my colleague who led the presentation was trying to make the point in the name of the commission that these are the problems when you gather data from the field. And those who do research, you talk to them. When you go to the field to gather data, when you are working on the data, you must clean it up. Yeah. The exhibition is a self-auditing mechanism to clean the register. And that's what the commission has been insisting that is what we are doing. And as we speak now, this is something we have been able to do successfully. And we'll be able to produce a register that is so credible, that is so robust for the 2024 general election.
So with that tone, you were not seeking to equalize?
No, we're not seeking. You know, the EC, we don't exist for ourselves. Okay. We exist for the good people of this country. We exist for all the political parties. So the onus is on us to ensure that always the right things are done. Okay. And it's the main reason why we are calling on the NDC that if you want solutions to the problems you have identified in the register, which the EC insists we have corrected, come to the discussion table. So you have evidence of certain things, bring them to us. Because we think that it's in the interest of the MPP to have a credible register. It's in the interest of media actors, the NDC, even all the small parties. And we think that by all of us having the same objective of a credible register, we don't achieve it by demonstrating. Okay. Let's be on the discussion table. The evidence you have, bring it on the table. EC will also produce the evidence that all the problems you claim you have identified. Don't forget that in that meeting, the person who led the NDC presentation, he mentioned one of the names of the persons missing on the register. Instantly, our IT coordinator mentioned to him, this person you are saying is missing. The person is in the register. So that's why the electoral, we are saying that all the problems we have addressed, but for you to be doubly sure, bring it to us. Then we show everything to you. Okay. We have done that.
Well, let's not leave the audience out because there are a number of questions that have come in that we need to go through. At least this is for education purposes so that we can answer all the questions that you have. At least we have the deputy chair here in the studios to give you answers to that. But the NDC was also asking for a re-exhibition of the voters' register. Is that going to happen? You know, when you look at the law talks about exhibition. And when you do the exhibition is supposed to uncover discrepancies, uncover challenges, address missing names, people have been put in wrong polling station. And we've been able to achieve that. And beyond this, the register will be online for people to go and see. Online, people can easily access. You know, we have the short code over there. It's still working.
It's still working.
It's still available.
All the problems the parties claim they've identified. I can assure you and I can assure the good people of our country that all the problems have been addressed.
All the anomalies
have been addressed. All the transfers you mentioned, as I said, NDC said about 243,000 people. Yes. And what happened was that when we were generating the data, the system added all the transfers, put all the transfers together. The transfers in 2020, transfers in 2023, plus the transfers in 2024. Now we have segregated everything. So we have a composite transfer for only 2024. We have the one for 2024, a separate one for 2020, 2023.
And why won't you then make it available to the parties so that all these issues and concerns they are raising?
The register is not like just a laptop, then you go and copy.
Okay.
It's an ongoing process. We just finished with the exhibition. And when you finish with the exhibition, there are certain legal processes you go through. So we are working on it. Okay. It's being updated every day. And when you want to a copy, it goes through a process. You have to truncate the process. But the assurance is that when we finish everything, the final register will be given to the political parties.
Okay.
The final register we are going to use for the elections, we will give it to everything.
Enough time. They will have enough time to look through before the polls.
Yes. But we have to print the register for the elections. So when we are ready to print, then it means the document is ready.
It's ready
to be given to all the political parties.
Okay, let's go through the questions. Let's take the first batch of questions that you've sent in this evening. And we'll start with this one. This one from Ziblim says that, what will the EC lose if it gives in to this demand for a forensic audit? Will it not serve the interests of fairness and transparency, transparent election, to have the audit to confirm the EC's position that there is nothing wrong with the register? That's how Ziblim starts. As Santis says, how can the public trust the EC when it comes when it confirms that its officers illegally transferred votes in Pushiga? What is it to show that such a practice is not widespread? And that's Asante's question. And this one from Xavier says, does the EC accept criticism that it is not helping matters with its public commentary on this matter, referencing the NDC's demand as misguided, saying the NDC is seeking to mislead its supporters? Protests are necessary, and that there were even plants and animals registered representing voters in 2016. So that's, we have a response to your question, Xavier. And Francisca says, does the EC have the capacity to conduct a forensic audit on the register on its own, or an external body will be needed? Is that it for the first batch, right? Okay, we'll take the last one for this batch. Caroline says, it is barely 3 months to the 2024 election. Is there any room that the EC will accept this demand, or you totally rule out anything of this sort will happen? That's Caroline. So all these questions raising issues about the NDC's concerns. When we start with the Blim's question, this one says, is asking what the EC will lose if you actually conduct this forensic audit that the NDC is asking for.
Let me make something very clear. The CI, which you have a copy there.
Yeah.
The CI 91, Regulation 23. Regulation 23 is an audit of the register.
Which is the exhibition.
Which is the exhibition. So the exhibition exercise is an audit of the register. You display the register at all the polling stations we are going to use for the elections. And in this instance, almost 40,650 polling stations. We display the register. So the law allows us to display so that all the concerns. And you know, one of the things the Commission has done to ensure that the register internally is properly audited is that we have a four-pronged approach. The voter, the registered voter, is required to go to the polling station to check. If there are problems with your name, or your name is not there, you have the opportunity to include your name in the register. Apart from that, when you move to the district level, we have what we call the register viewer, which has been given to every district office. Okay. So all EC district officers have that. And their job is to check all those who registered in their district. So if you are the district officer for Hohoe, your job is to check all those who registered in Hohoe. You have that information. We've given you the viewer, which was provided by the head office. So your job is to cross-check. I registered this number. These are the names of people I registered. I need to check whether all of them are in the register. So if even you are a registered voter and you didn't go to the exhibition center, our district office is doing that work for you.
Okay.
So how it is done. So when you look at it critically, although you did not even go to the exhibition or the polling station to check your name, we are also doing that.
Okay.
Apart from that, our IT personnel are also going through. Because, you know, one thing I
need to also... It may not be in the CI, at least. They say you've talked about the exhibition being in the CI, requirement of the law, amongst others. But what would it take away if we go outside this process and do that forensic audit?
Let me also add that when you talk about forensic audit...
Or this makes an arrangement for audit.
It's an audit. It's an audit. But when you look at forensic audit, when you suspect fraud, you suspect criminality, you ask the experts who do that, then you are going to do that. But in our
suspicion.
No,
but that's your suspicion.
But you must give evidence to support that.
Okay.
In our system of government, let's be very, very clear. You talk about audit as an institution, the law has provided. Assuming what is provided in the law has not worked. And therefore, we shouldn't forget that the register we are talking about, we gave the register to the NDC. MPP, all the parties in 2020. So any party should have what we gave to them in 2020.
Okay.
We gave it to them in 2023, ahead of the district assembly elections. And we've given the composite one to them again in 2024.
Yeah.
So if you are a party, the audit you can equally establish. 2020, we had about 27,000 people on the register. 2023, we added a little over 910,000. In 2024, the first registration, the limited one, we did almost 777,000. And in the mop-up, a little over 100,000.
Okay.
You should be able to put all these things together as a party and do the audit for yourself.
But it's also your responsibility.
No, that's why we are saying we've done that.
Okay.
Electoral Commission is saying all the problems people are claiming they've seen with the register, we have done that.
Okay.
And that come to the discussion table. And that's why we are saying if the regulations in the law, if they have not worked, why will we be afraid? But we know we've done everything. The numbers we have, we've done everything. The process is ongoing. As soon as the processes are consummated, we'll have a final register which will be displayed at the registration voting centers. We'll give copies to the political parties way ahead of the election for them to go through. In 2020, we used the same procedure. And in 2020, we drilled down to the extent that there were 500 people whose biometrics could not be identified. But we knew their polling stations. So what we did was that we introduced a manual system for them, and all of them had their names in the voters register.
Okay. We'll make time to at least answer most of the questions that we have. On to Asante Zone, the concern about when the EC confirms that its officers illegally transferred votes in Pusiga, what is to show that such a practice is not widespread is the concern. The EC insists it's just in Pusiga that this happens.
It's just in Pusiga, and we've gone through, we've checked our system, and since that happened, we've introduced what we call the liveliness check. In other words, we've made it such that once the person is not there, the system will not work. And we've gone through the system to check whether such a transfer occurred in other places apart from Pusiga, and we didn't see anything.
But what is happening, at least, if it happened in Pusiga, at least we should see some punitive measures taken. Who was responsible for this and what has been done? Sanctions applied?
Yes, sanctions have been applied. One thing we do at the commission that we don't shield people.
Yeah.
Wrongdoing is wrongdoing. So preliminarily, when we went through, we did some...
But was it deliberate? Was it done deliberately?
We've just concluded our investigations, and the commission will be able to look at it this week. But the person, we did an audit trail, and we noticed the past where that was used. So the person was suspended, but now we've also concluded with the investigation. So commission will likely meet on the report this week.
Okay. And we are not able to tell us at least preliminary findings.
No, I think the officer, no, we can't share because the commission is yet to look at it this week.
But what will happen to such a person beyond the suspension?
The sanctions are very clear. Once you do certain things, you could be dismissed. And if you are dismissed, it doesn't imply that you cannot be given to the police. So everything is possible.
Okay. Well, we'll look forward to that. And Xavier is also saying about the criticism, at least that's one thing you've answered already, the animals and plants issues. And then Samed says, has the EC supplied proof to the NDC that it has fixed all the discrepancies and that has been brought to its attention?
However, I think I tried to answer this, but let me go back
a little bit,
The point is that what we are operating, it's not like a laptop where you say, I'm going to copy this news item. You go through a process. So it's the reason why we are saying that let's meet at the discussion table. Once we meet all this, NDC is a major stakeholder. We can even do it together with all the political parties. When we want to copy, it takes time. You have to stop a lot of things. And these processes are ongoing, and we are preparing the register for the election.
And is the NDC aware of such a process?
Oh, yeah, I know. NDC, everything is in the law. So when you read, there are processes we go through. So that's why we can't say we are going to copy. But the commission, all the anomalies, we have addressed. Okay.
Well, and Francisca is asking, does the EC have the capacity to conduct such a forensic audit on the register? If the NDC provides the evidence to you and there's a need for this forensic audit, are you able to do that? Or you need
I made the point that we have corrected everything.
Okay.
But for the NDC to be doubly sure, we are saying bring what you have.
That's what I'm saying. In the event they do, are you able to conduct it, or you need an external body to do so?
No, we don't need any. That's why the exhibition itself is a self-auditing mechanism embedded in our laws. So it's been done. So, but if you want to be doubly sure, bring everything to us. So as we speak now, the NDC evidence, and we want them to bring it forward. We want to meet them on the table so that we want every party to be satisfied going into the election. Because the elections, we are organizing the parliamentary 276 different elections. One presidential election, making it almost 277 different elections. We are not doing it for the Electoral Commission. We are doing it for the good people of this country. And the political parties are the main stakeholders. So we want every party to be happy, satisfied going into the election. Okay. It's the reason why we are saying that if you have any concern, please come to us. Our doors are open. And we think that demonstrating is not the way to go. We have come very far as a country.
But it's within their rights.
Oh, it's within the right, but we want it to address the problem.
Okay.
And to address the problem, come to the discussion table.
But
and the EC can assure the people of our country that every anomaly we have addressed. Every anomaly has been addressed. So let's meet at the discussion table and let's look at the evidence.
Okay.
Whatever you have, you can bring. And the EC should be in a position to prove to you that all these concerns you are having. For example, the issue about the transfer, it started from Ejumaku Enyan. And we said, oh, we added 2020, 2023, the system generated that. But as we speak now, we have been able to segregate them. So 2020 transfers are standing alone, 2023 transfers are standing alone. The same applies to 2024.
Well, but is the EC actually concerned about the NDC's decision to hit the streets on Tuesday?
No, we at the EC, we know the right to demonstrate is enshrined in our constitution. So the parties can do that. But our concern is that the NDC has made it very clear that they are doing that because of the voters' register. Yeah. And we think that the solution is there. We think that the problem they are talking about is non-existent. And the only way they can know the problem is non-existent is to come to the discussion table. Okay. And the EC, our doors are open. We've always been transparent. And we think that that's the way to go. Because, again, we are not doing it for ourselves. We are doing it for the parties. We are doing it for our great country. So the onus is on us to ensure that we do everything excellently. And I can say without a doubt that the register as we speak now is about 99.9% excellent. Okay. All the anomalies have been addressed because the essence of the exhibition is to make corrections. And we have done that.
Is the EC considering engaging key stakeholders around the two parties, that's the NDC and then the EC, to be able to bring them to the table beyond the public calls? Are there, because we've heard the Asantini Otumfuo say to talk about the fact that you all should build trust in the process, to collaborate. The Speaker of Parliament also made that call to MPs in Parliament to actually collaborate rather than always, attacking the EC. Are you going beyond the public call to the NDC and speaking to other stakeholders, key stakeholders, to bring the NDC to the table rather than the protest that is going to happen on Tuesday?
We know the Peace Council has been doing that work, and for us, we work with IPAC. IPAC is not only made up of the EC and political parties, it's made up of civil society, development partners like the UNDP is there, the British High Commission, the United States Embassy, USAID, Canadian High Commission, all of them, the EU, all of them, they attend IPAC.
What has been their role so far?
We have the civil society, several of them who also, CDD, CODEO, all of them, IDEC, all of them come to IPAC. And it's one of the things, Commission, that's why we said, if at the discussion table, we can bring everyone on board. Because the thing about the Commission that we have nothing to hide. And the fact is that there is nothing you can even hide. Okay. The processes are transparent. It's the reason why I said the register was given to the parties in 2020. We gave it to them in 2023. Oui. We've given in 2024. So the parties should be able to compare. You take 2020, we had this number. 2023, we did exhibition. Some people's names were removed because they were deceased. Yeah. We added, we did 2024. You should be able to sit down and look at it. So the EC is saying that all the problems that were identified, we have addressed. Okay. We have addressed. But for you to be doubly sure, you bring the evidence you have, and we can show you that all the problems you had.
Or the concerns you have.
But the register is an ongoing, it's a living document. So after exhibition, we make a lot of changes. Once issues come up that, oh, this person's name has been included, we go ahead and work on it. Somebody will be on the multiples list, And the legal process will say the person must be removed from the multiples list to the main register so that the person can vote. We've done all that.
Well, let's get the next batch of questions on this issues that have come up with the EC. And this one from Dumega, it says the NDC is going ahead with the protest on Tuesday. Their supporters are going to march on their offices. Will you be open on Tuesday? Is what Dumega is asking. What will happen? And then Yao says, given that we are 82 days away from the election, how confident is the EC that all errors in the voter register will be corrected in time? Can the EC assure voters that any changes made moving forward will not lead to further complications? At least we've touched on that. Now, Kokwe says the NDC is planning a demonstration against the EC on Tuesday. Will this change the EC's positions and prompt a forensic audit? That's not going to happen. And Lady says, how does the EC respond to the NDC's claim that the voter register is marred by illegal transfers and lacks robustness in your systems? Lady Irene says, what measures is the EC putting in place to ensure public confidence ahead of the elections? It looks like most of these questions where you responded largely to them, but the issue about what happens on Tuesday, if everything you have asked for, you've called for the NDC to come to the table, we have about 24 hours for that to happen and see if that protest will be called off. But if they should go ahead, what happens on Tuesday? They said they are storming all your offices across the country. What happens to your officers? What's going to happen? Are there any arrangements put in place? Will you open?
There are arrangements in place, and the EC is not going to share the arrangements we have put in place. But the EC is a public sector organization. Our offices will be open for our normal activities on Tuesday.
Okay. So the issue about public confidence in the process so far, because some of these commentary and things, actions that will be taken by the various key stakeholders wanes the trust in this particular process?
I think in terms of public confidence in our process, one of the things we do is that the EC time and again has tried to be very, very transparent with the good people of this country. We always want people to know what is happening. It's the reason why anytime there is any misinformation or disinformation going around, we quickly respond. And we also use our platform called Let the Citizen Know to address emerging issues. Beyond that, transparency is our hallmark. And when you look at our stakeholders, everything we do, public confidence, everything we do, we don't do it alone, we do it with our parties. So for example, next week, when we announce those who have qualified, this week, when we announce those who have qualified to become candidates for the presidential, the parliamentary, we are going to do balloting. Okay. The balloting will be done publicly. The media will cover. I know Joy News, you will cover it live for all Ghanaians. So who will be number one, the EC doesn't decide. So the balloting is even in two phases. We are going to ballot on who will choose first.
Okay. So
there will be a first ballot on which party is going to choose the position first. So we do the first phase. Depending on the number you get, then we say, oh, you will go and pick number one. That one is done publicly. When we finish that, we are going to print the ballot papers as well as the registers for the election. Before we print the registers, we'll give the register. The parties will get their copy. And individuals can even write to the commission to get a copy of the register. Apart from that, we'll print what we call the notice of poll. So we have the notices of polls for presidential elections, for parliamentary. The notice will help you to know those who are contesting the presidential election and those who are contesting the parliamentary election in each of the constituencies. And this, we don't do it in isolation. We do it with the presence of security, party agents. All the parties are allowed, and even independent candidates, they are allowed to bring their representatives to come and monitor the printing of the notices of poll as well as the printing of the ballot papers. And when we finish printing the ballot papers and we are transporting them to the various regional police armories, we go with the political parties. And when we get to the regions, the political parties, they have their reps there who will also receive before we put them in the police armories in all the regional capitals. And all the parties will put their seals. Before a day to the election, we transport them to the constituencies. The same process is replicated at the constituency level. And on the day of voting, the ballot box is transparent. We show it to everyone. And when we are even printing the ballot papers, we have what we call, the commission will say, let's add 5% across board. So when we add 5%, assuming East Amasaman constituency has 100,000 registered voters. It will become 105,000. The agents are aware, everyone is aware. So the number of ballot papers going to each constituency is made known to all the agents. So the processes are very, very transparent. However, we shouldn't forget that in 2020, we used the same processes, and now we have even strengthened. In 2020, the observers that came, African Union Observer Mission, ECOWAS, EU, the EU report, they gave us 95%.
Okay.
The only issue the EU identified was some of the collation centers were crowded, which in 2024 we have improved upon that, and we are going to ensure
what will be different?
No, they are special. Some of them, some people who were not accredited, they found their ways at these places. So now we have worked on that, getting more spacious places, and even beyond that, now the commissioners is going to engage collation officers to support the returning officers and the technicians. So we have increased the number of people who are even going to do the collation. We are bringing in people with good statistics, mathematical accounting back to support. So even apart from the external observer, the domestic, Joy News, you were on the ground. You noticed the work the commission did. All the local observers, Kodeo, this is their para-voter tabulation, confirmed the results declared by the Electoral Commission. And the Commission, we want to improve upon what we did in 2020. We want the EU mission to give us even 100%.
You're looking forward to that?
No, we are looking forward to that. They made some recommendation, which now, women candidates are paying 25% less. So for the presidential candidate, the women who filed their nominations, they will pay 25% less. Parliamentary too, they will pay 25% less. So the Commission is determined to make Ghana proud again, make all Ghanaians proud. And we are determined to do that.
One thing that chipped the gains that maybe you made, like you talk about that the EU gave you 95. Yesterday, for instance, when the diplomatic honest, Dr. Ibn Chambers was speaking, the issue about the violence that we witnessed during the last election and the deaths that were recorded actually eroded some of the gains that the EC made in terms of organizing of that particular election. I know you're not in charge of security, but I'm sure as stakeholders you are engaging at this point. What would be different? How are you hoping that all the other stakeholders will work hand in hand to ensure that whatever it is that you're going to be doing in terms of your execution will not be, the gains will not be eroded?
I support your position. Those deaths were very, very unfortunate. Because choosing a president, choosing a member of parliament shouldn't lead to that. It's just an exercise of ideas. Who do you vote for? Just go ahead and vote for. So we think it shouldn't have happened in the first place, and we wish those families very, very painful. They went through a lot of pain, so our deepest sympathies go to them, and we pray that it doesn't happen again. As you rightly pointed out, we've been working with the Election Security Task Force under the leadership of the Ghana Police Service, and this year they've started very, very early.
Okay.
You could see they even started last year. They've identified all the flash points, and as a commission, when we also identify certain places which are very serious and they will likely create problems for us, we inform them.
Have we identified any of them? We know the previous ones, but have we added to it? Has it increased? What exactly?
We have our team that works with the police. So the police has a commissioner who is now in charge of election. So we engage her on regular basis, and this year we have started much earlier than previous, so we believe that everything is going to go orderly. But it's also important that we get our parties to also educate their supporters that once you choose the path of democracy, any problems you identify, we need to use the legal processes to resolve. And I think the education must go both ways. The security people must be very professional in the way they do their work. We Electoral Commission must also be very professional the way we do our work. The citizens must also approach it, because elections is about choosing leaders.
Yeah.
Someone said all of us are going to Tema. You want to use the beach road. Somebody wants to use the motorway. Somebody may even want to go through the Adenta area to get there. But all of us at the end of the day. So what you like may not necessarily be the preference of another person. This is a democratic right. Just go there peacefully. And with the Electoral Commission, we also ensure that we employ people who are qualified, who are very professional, and they will do a decent job at all the polling stations and the collation centers.
Well, I was asking about the flashpoints, whether we've seen an increment or an increase.
Not necessarily an increment. Usually what happens is that Some places may be flashpoints in the last elections, but based on certain development, they may not. And other areas, because the demographic changes. Okay. But there are few places to that are routinely flashpoints. And we give them to the police, but the police, they also have their own. And this year, when you see the way the police is doing their work, you can clearly see that maybe they are treating all places as flashpoints. And I believe that in security, the experts will tell you that when you anticipate worst case scenarios, it's always better.
Is this election going to be a do or die affair from where you sit?
Oh, from Electoral Commission, we don't think about it in terms of do and die affair. But what we know is that these elections are going to be very, very peaceful. Okay. They are going to be very, very credible. They are going to be very, very inclusive. In 2020, by 1 p.m., a chunk of the people had voted. At some point, some people even thought people were not voting. Okay. We know once the nominations are over, the parties go about intensively and extensively their campaigns. We know that the focus will now be on, because the EC is not going to be on the ballot, but we will ensure that everything is properly done. And this is the assurance we can give to the good people of our country, that everything will be properly done to ensure that we have a credible, transparent, inclusive elections. The whole of the world is looking at Ghana. We are the reference point in the African Union. You come to the ECOWAS region, we are a sub-regional leader when it comes to electoral democracy. Yeah. We are the only country in West Africa with almost 55%. Cape Verde has 55 point something, but Cape Verde's population is less than 600,000. Apart from Cape Verde, Ghana is the only country that has almost 55% of its citizens who are qualified voters. You go to other countries around 42%, 43%. So that clearly shows that the Electoral Commission of Ghana is committed to ensuring that any qualified person gets the chance to register as a voter and will be in a position to vote come December 7, 2024. And
the EC, you would say, from where you sit, is prepared to execute this 2024 elections. First off, financially, you're stable. You have everything you need.
Financially, we are stable. So far, everything, for all the finances, the government has not relented. We work with the Ministry of Finance and the Special Budget Committee of Parliament. Anytime we have a problem, we go to the Special Budget Committee. And I can say without a doubt that so far, everything is on course.
So preparedness is what we are asking?
No, we are fully ready. All the things that must be done, over 99% of our procurement has been done. Everything we need. Now, what is outstanding is the ballot, which we've gone through the procurement processes. We are waiting for these nominations to be completed. As soon as they are completed, we go straight to the printing. So we are fully on course.
I would finally want to find out, at least, I'm sure you would speak for yourself and all the other commissioners and the EC chair on this. When you hear some of the things that are said about the Electoral Commission ahead of this particular polls, how does that make you feel?
No, we believe that there are a lot of misinformation in the system and a lot of disinformation. You are the media people, so you know disinformation, misinformation. A lot of them, they are in the system. You go to social media, people say a lot of things. But what we know is that the main stakeholders, they know and they are convinced that the Electoral Commission cannot influence the outcome of the elections. We cannot influence the outcome of the elections. Our job is to put all the necessary mechanisms in place. There are two parties who will ensure that they have agents at all the polling stations. And the training we give to our officials is that if even a party doesn't provide an agent at the polling station, you, the presiding officer, you are the one in charge, you are the leader of the polling station. Your job is to make sure that all the interests of all the parties are catered for. But when you don't do your job well, we will blacklist you and we are not going to use you again. So for that assurance, you know, there is this mantra, elections are won at the polling station. All the parties must ensure they have the qualified people at the polling station. Once we have that, EC will employ the right people to do the job.
Okay. We are grateful. We'll leave it here for now, and I'm sure there will be further engagement with the Electoral Commission. We are indeed grateful. That's the Deputy Chair of the Electoral Commission in charge of corporate services, Dr. Bossman Asare, joining us here on The Probe. Another edition comes your way same time. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Many thanks to the entire team for this evening's edition of The Probe. I am MFA Apau. Log on to myjoyonline.com for more news.